the first of its kind, I should say, since we've been since we implemented a lockbox process. Who I would say over almost 20 years ago. Um, but we were notified in June of 2022 by the bank. Our bank is currently Synovus Bank of a potential change in their lockbox operations. They delayed that implementation on multiple occasions. I think more so it was, they need to work out some things internally in terms of the transition. There were some software integrations that needed to happen in terms of our online banking application. But in August of 2023, so just a few months ago, they notified us that they were ready to move forward with that change in the lockbox process. For those that don't know, a lockbox for us is where you send your occupation tax returns to. So if you have a business license in Columbus and we've sent you out an occupation tax return for you to process a renewal, when you mail that back to us, the mailing address that's listed on that return is to our lockbox. So in August of 2023, they notified us that they would be fully migrating their lockbox process to a third-party vendor. They would no longer have a local lockbox here in Columbus. We're actually the last customer of theirs to migrate to this new lockbox process. So all the people that have a lockbox with Synovus Bank, they've already gone on to this new process, and CCG is the last customer to make this migration. So effective November 20th of this year, so next week, next Monday actually, the mailing address for business license renewals will change. The address that's listed here, of course, you would make all payments still payable to the Columbus Consolidated Government, but the address now is P.O. Box 96568, Charlotte, North Carolina, 28296-0568. So this address will be printed again on the occupation tax returns after the go live date. We're in the process of updating our tax return templates, be it online or in our system application. We're going to prepare a special insert to send out with those occupation tax renewal packets that we send out in January, February timeframe. We're also going to place some verbiage on the city's website as well as on the finance department website to advise our citizens, our businesses of the new lockbox address.
So it may appear strange that you're sending your check to North Carolina for the Columbus Consolidated Government. It's not a scam. It's a change.
It's a change in the process of the bank.
In the process, and so we need to get that word out. We want you to know. It may appear strange that I'm going to send this to you to a North Carolina address. So we just want to be clear.
All right, Councilor Begley.
To clarify, so we are with the exact same bank, but our bank has now outsourced to a third party.
That's correct.
Have they provided reassurances you're going to get the same level of?
They provided reassurances to us because I can tell you, we were very hesitant to make the change. I think part of the delay and us being the last customer to make this migration for them was that they were very cognizant of our concerns. And so they have taken the extra step in terms of making sure that the mail gets to where it needs to go. They've offered to hand carry the mail for the first 3 months, post go live. They've offered to hand carry the mail to that new facility, that new location in North Carolina. So they're gonna keep that same local PO box open, and they're gonna take it. If it comes to that local PO box, they're gonna hand carry it to North Carolina for processing. After the, and I'm not sure if I've answered your other question, but after the first 3 months post go live, they're going to, again, keep that same PO box open for us for an additional 12-month period. So in totality, we'll have 15 months of mail forwarding basically But after the first 3 months, it's going to be forwarded to the new address by the United States Postal Service.
And to use a different lockbox provider, would that require us to change banks?
To have a different lockbox address would require us to change banks. But I believe in our conversations with this particular banks, a lot of the larger banks, they utilize a third party to process and handle their lockbox. Is what they told us, and so they're just sort of getting up with the times and closing down their local lockbox operation. Before, when it was done here locally, there was a location in Columbus that we would physically go to and pick up that mail.
And so, if this is consistent, are other communities in Georgia also sending their payments to another state?
Yes, for Synovus, you had the choice of utilizing North Carolina, Tampa, Florida, or Atlanta. Now, you say, well, why not Atlanta? It was their recommendation to not utilize Atlanta because they're having a lot of problems with the mail with the Atlanta processing center, and not more so with the bank, but with the postal service. They were giving us examples where the mail was delayed several months after it had been received. It didn't actually make it to where it was supposed to go at the end of it all for several months. So obviously we didn't want that to occur for us.
And then last question, did they provide an estimate of the new costs to receive the paperwork?
No estimates at this time because it's really going to be based on the carrier. The city has an account with UPS, and so we're going to utilize the account that we have with UPS from a logistics standpoint. It's obviously it's going to be based on the volume, the weight of the mail that they're going to ship back to us, but we don't have an estimate at this time.
Yeah, okay, so it's not like individual mailings, it is literally the box of paperwork they received, sending it back to us. We have
Yes.
it for our records.
Yes,
Okay.
boxes.
That was it, thank you.
All right, Counselor Davis.
Thank you, Mayor. Look, in concern of processing of documents out of the revenue department, I would think that, that it could be considered premature in making decisions like this, knowing that we have an internal audit, that we have investigation with an auditing aspect of the investigation, which will be presented soon, and we'll have recommendations, findings, and possible solutions. And we don't know what is being determined and what's going to be presented to us. Okay, but in light of that, what I'm reading here is this is a matter that, or what I'm comprehending here is that this is a matter that's been going on for a while, and evidently with the timeline recently, the bank has asked you to make this transition. You've got to do something. You got to do something to keep things moving. We don't have any other alternative. That's the way I'm looking at this and reading it. So I think that the aspect that anyone would question that this would be premature before that happens would be exactly that answer, that this is the only option I'm looking at, the only option that the city has right now.
Yes, this is beyond my control. I asked if it could even be pushed to January, and they have said no.
Well, could this be termed an emergency? If we were to have to make a decision, if we didn't have another option at this point, and we wouldn't have to go, the city wouldn't have to go through an RFP process?
Well, if you're talking about switching banks, that is a huge lift because that's not that's not something that we could turn around fairly quickly.
I'm just asking if could it be deemed an emergency and you wouldn't have to go, the RFP process would hold this up for a long period if you would have to go back out and identify another option to deal with this matter, correct?
So you mean an emergency to switch banks and just,
Well, to find an option to keep the process continuing and to streamline to have the process continue in a timely manner.
This is beyond our control. I mean, this is a business decision that the bank has made, and they have worked with us. I won't say work with. I mean, they have. They've delayed implementation as far as they could delay it, and at this point, they are, they have worked with us in terms of us this being delayed, and they're at the point now where they can no longer further delay it. We are the last customer of theirs that is utilizing. They are keeping the entire lockbox operation center open for the city, and they have got to close it down at this point, according to them.
If the reports come back and there's recommendations to maybe look at other options, is this going to be a temporary option that's on the table, moving to this third-party processing group out of North Carolina, or is the city does the city have the ability to make the changes to potentially use a different option?
and so the agreement that we have with the bank, is this a component that could be removed from this bank and yet we stay with this bank? We take the lockbox system to another lending institute. I don't know. I mean, it's something certainly we could.
I think you end up with the same results, and that is a change in the processing of those pieces of mail. And I think that what I understood is banks making this change. We didn't get a vote, and so what's going to happen is it's going to change the processing location. Now, we could change, to your question, if we decided we wanted to pull our business from that bank and go with someone that has a lockbox that, for whatever reason, we're more comfortable with. But I think this is not something that we're doing. This is sort of happening to us.
Right. That's the conversation here. I think what I'm asking is, could this be deemed, if another option is recommended for the department to improve the process, could you get out of this?
I'm sure we can get out of any agreement, city attorney.
Could you, to keep it moving, could it be deemed an emergency to keep it moving to bypass the RFP process? RFP process is going to just, spread this thing out, and it's not going to be streamlined. You're going to have a large gap that will be that will cause a significant delay.
Well,
follow me?
It's more than just a lockbox, though, in terms of our relationship with this particular
package.
It's a process.
City managers busting.
Well, it's more than just the agreement that we have with the bank. It's more than just them handling this lockbox. That's just a part of it. Part of the RFP that we put out, we have to have a certain number of locations. The bank needs to have a certain number of locations within the city, so that we can make so that the various departments can make those deposits into. I mean, we don't want a situation where we have one bank and everybody goes to one bank. They have to drive, all the way across town just to make a deposit. So that's part of the process.
Well, ain't nobody going to North Carolina to make a deposit.
A lot of the other processing, such as, the deposits that we make, the direct deposits that we send out, those are all negotiated as part of the RFP. But if it sort of calms some of your concern, Councilor Davis, this particular agreement ends in January. So we're supposed to, we are in the process of potentially putting out an RFP to solicit these services. Again, anyway, our 5-year agreement.
If there's another option.
If there's another option, we're going to put out another RFP.
to keep that delay, I guess let's focus, there would be a delay. If you did that, there would be a delay unless you can keep this service going up until that point, but it's gonna be confusing. Well, all I'm asking is, could you deem it an emergency that you could make a decision to move to a lockbox, a different lockbox location or a different service